xRhythms.
Hello there and welcome to xRhythms. I am super excited to be talking to Abby Robertson today. Hi!
Hi y'all!
For those who maybe are brand new to your music, how would you describe it and what would you say your music and your themes and everything is about?
My music is really honest, and I write songs that either I've come out of that season or I'm in that season. I'd like to say it's honest and real, and it's pop music, so it's super fun.
So we can definitely see like in your lyrics, I feel like they are very like heart to heart type of lyrics. Would you say is that kind of what you go for?
I always throw in not only how I'm feeling, but also how I'm sure other people are feeling, and I get to meet people and talk to them, and a lot of the same similar things that are brought up are worry and anxiety and depression and, you know, just anxious thoughts. And so I'm like, man, I can't be the only one that deals with this. We're all human, so might as well just write about some honest things and hope that people relate to it and then they find a positive message in it.
Is faith something that you'd say is really important to you?
I just want to tell everybody about the freedom that I've found, and, you know, faith is hard, but it's so worth it, and believing in God is so worth it, and finding freedom, complete freedom, is just, it's like a breath of fresh air. And so I don't know, all I want to do is just make music and sing songs about God.
You mentioned that you got saved, which is like inviting Jesus into your life and developing a relationship with God, and that happened about a year and a half ago. Was there a particular kind of thing that happened at that time that, you know, made you want to kind of like, you know, seek God and get to know who he is and get into a relationship with him?
I grew up in church and I grew up in a family that loved the Lord, but I wasn't living that. I just started to be God in my own life. I had come to the end of myself in a really hard season of life, and I have a mentor and I love him so much. He also has written a lot of the songs with me, and I'm sure he wouldn't even remember it, but he was like, I think you should go back to church. And I was like, what do I have to lose at this point? Like, I don't even know who I am, so I should go to church. And I remember walking into a church service here in Nashville. I remember the message was just so piercing to my heart that I like just started sobbing. And I remember them giving like the prayer of salvation, and I, underneath my breath, said it, and, you know, ever since I said that, it was just this freedom and this peace that washed over me that, I don't know, I would like to encourage people that no matter what you're walking through, like, God is a safe place. Having faith is a scary thing because you're believing in something that's bigger than you, but it's so worth it.
You mentioned that you were kind of like the God of your own life. Like, what did that mean? Mm-hmm. And then there was a point where you came to the end of yourself. Like, what does that mean as well?
I know that I was just trying my hardest to make things happen and to get doors open and to get people to like me and to have people stay in my life. And I just was all self. I literally just sat down at that church service and I sat there for, I don't know, probably the whole entire time and surrendered every single thing in my life. And it was my desires, my wants, my hurts, my needs. And it was just like realizing that like God can provide all of those things for me. It felt almost as like the pressure that I was putting on myself or that the world had put on me just started to lift.
It's a message that you like to incorporate a lot into your music. Is that something that you sort of like from the beginning of when you started making music that you were like, yes, I want to talk about this? Or did it happen, you know, more recently? Like, how was that process? Like, why did you want to bring this into the music that you make?
I think I was like 5 years old. Our teacher made us do this book of like what we wanted to be when we got older. I had written and drew a picture. When I grow older, I want to sing songs about the Lord. Like, full on. And my mom found this book and brought it to my attention, like maybe 2 years ago now. And it was so reassuring in what I'm doing, and I truly believe, even as a little kid, I always knew I wanted to make music about the Lord. I started to make music, and it wasn't filling, it wasn't life-giving music, it was angsty and angry, and I wrote heartbreak songs, which is fine, everybody goes through heartbreak. But when I got saved in September, I got signed to a Christian label in November of that same year, and that was the moment where I was like, wow, I'm back to where I felt like I should have been when I was a little kid. Like, I know what my calling is, and it's to write songs about faith in Jesus. And from then on, just continued to just write where I had been, what I've gone through, where I'm at.
It's quite clear when looking at like your online presence, your online channels, things like that, that realness and authenticity is something that's really, really important to you. So how do you live authentically, and particularly in like the digital and the social media age that we currently live in?
I think that social media is hard to navigate. I think that a lot of times there's personas of like, oh, this is my life, and it's not actually how it looks. But what I've come to find out is just like being real on Instagram or Facebook or whatever app you're using. It's really interesting to see how many people can actually connect with it. There are parts of my life that I still like to remain private and to myself, but I really have just become so okay with who I am that I'm like, I don't have to have makeup on to post a photo. Like, I don't have to be doing something that the world might think is so incredibly cool just to seem cool. Like, if I want to post a photo of my dog, I'll do that. Or if I feel like the Lord is telling me to share something that might bring freedom to somebody else, like through my story, I'm gonna share it. I just try my hardest to be as real as I am in person as I am online. And I know that that's super hard to navigate, and I think I'm still trying to figure it out, but just being real to who you are so you don't lose sight of who you are.
What would you say is like the biggest piece of advice that you just give to like just a young person in general, and maybe someone who is struggling with this whole like look at who's following loads of people on social media, you know, influencers and so on, and feels a bit less than or feels like they have to be something? Like, what would you say is like your biggest piece of advice around how to be more authentic and be more, you know, real, and you appreciate who you are and so on?
If everybody's social media got deleted, like those followers, I know it's people behind screens, but like, are they actively in your life? Do they pour into you, kind of thing? And just being okay to know that like social media might fade, and that doesn't mean that you're any less than a person. A number shouldn't matter. I know that's a big thing, and it's just true. Numbers don't matter. I know that for a long time I was trying to people please, and I would get upset when I would lose followers, but at the end of the day, like, it's okay, because the only person that you need is Jesus and your family and stuff like that. So I don't know, just keep your head up. I'm still trying to figure that out too.
For anyone who, just in general, for any like young people out there in general who you know, really interested in wanting to make music as well, like what would your advice be for someone who maybe has that heart, has like a passion for it, but doesn't know where to get started and everything?
I remember starting out, I took gigs at like the farmer's market, and I would go play music on Saturday mornings, and it was so fun. But like, just start writing music, even if it doesn't make sense, and, you know, take your phone and do some voice recordings and start playing guitar, pick up piano. Like, if you can learn anything, if you can teach yourself, if you can gain any kind of knowledge, that's always a beautiful thing, because, you know, instruments can take you so much further, and you can put actual music to singing and lyrics and stuff like that.
What does songwriting look like for you? Like, do you have a particular kind of process that you follow with it?
I usually start with music, and then we'll go to lyrics, and then sometimes people will start with lyrics and go to music, so I'll start writing things, and I'll be like, hey guys, I'm bringing it to you. I have some lyrics, and I don't think they make sense, but could you put some music to it? And yeah, I think it's all over the place. Sometimes it's music first and then lyrics, sometimes it's lyrics and then music, and then sometimes it's just I don't know what I'm doing and we're just writing.
Is there a particular song of yours that has like that means the most to you personally?
I have two of them. My first one would be Sanctuary. I wrote that song out of a really difficult season of my family and I's life. My dad was unfortunately really sick, and my mom was like, we have a family event we have to go to, and we have to just push through this, and your dad has to get in the car and we gotta go. And so all that to say, we just like drove. We showed up at this hotel, and my dad was extremely sick, and my mom was sitting in the room with a Bible, and she flipped to Psalms, and she just threw her hand out on a verse, and in it it said, lift your hands and praise him in the sanctuary. God was with us in that moment. The hotel that we were in was called the Sanctuary. Man, God even saw us in that hard situation. Like, he was right there in the middle of it. He saw us, and he was just reassuring my mom, just like, give it to me. Just release it. Just let me have it. I see you and I'll take care of it. So Sanctuary definitely means a lot to me and my family. And then the next song would be Without Your Love. It's my latest single, and it's been spinning at radio for a while, but I'm just so grateful that that song is out, and that really was written about like where would I be without God's love? Like, I do know where I would be. And after getting saved, like, I knew where I was without, God in my life. And now I know where he is with me. And I hope people realize, like, even in the hardest time, even in the times where you are so desperate for, like, somebody or something, you don't have to have a physical person with you. You just cry out to God. He is right there.
On the theme of just music and so on, is there anything right now that you're currently working on that's coming up soon?
I have a new single coming out in July, and it's called Song of the Summer, and I am super excited for everybody to hear it. It is easy breezy. You put your windows down on a beautiful sunny day, and you just put your hand out the window and do one of these, and I can't wait for it to come out. I'm so excited.
Do you want to just shout out which social media platforms you're on, like where people can just keep connected with you?
TikTok and Instagram, and both of those would be Abby Robertson Official.
Thank you so much. Do you have any final words, anything that you just want to share with like the teenagers and young people that are watching?
You guys are seen, and your life matters. If I've learned anything in the year of 2022, is that people need to know that they matter so much. Go talk to friends, go get outside, get off your phone, go enjoy what God has created for all of us, and yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Abby.
Of course, thank you for having me.
xRhythms.